Thank you all so much for being here at Runway to 2024. If I am less prepared than I should be, it's because I had to watch that panel just now. It was so good. My God. George Whitesides, we have to help him flip CA-27 from
Let's do it.
protection.
Let's do it. Let's just do it.
We got to. Yep. Also have to defend Rep. Gabe Vasquez in New Mexico. Yep. Second. It's great meeting heroes that all of you have helped elect. You know, this has a real effect. So I'm Jason Berlin, if you don't know, founder of Field Team 6. And before we get into it, the first thing I want to do is thank you all for saving the world 4 times. 3 times you've done already. The last one you're about to. So I'm thanking you in advance because it's kind of a big thing. The next 2 years. Let me just set the table metaphorically for a second. It's good to remember the amazing things that we all have done together as Field Team 6, as part of the greater progressive movement. We have saved the world 3 times already, 2018, 2020, and just now, 2022. And we have to remember that. So, we actually feel like we can save it again. And we know that we can. We've done it before. So you remember in 2016, America elected its most dangerous president. He had that puny inauguration. And it was the next day, it was like, oh, you want a crowd? Here's a crowd. Here's the Women's March. Here's 500,000 people in LA and millions across the globe. Biggest protest in world history. There's a crowd. That was the starter pistol that set off the resistance. The resistance, most people here were part of it. We rose to fight him and his GOP enablers. And in 2018, we took back the House. In 2020, we deposed that dictator and saved America's life. This is old news. I'm sorry, though. This is true. Against all odds, we took back the Senate. And you remember that runoff? We got 2 Democratic senators out of Georgia in a runoff. And we got to see on a split screen the best and worst of America. We got to see on one side Ossoff and Warnock elected. And on the other, we got to see soccer dads falling off the walls of the Capitol as they're climbing up. 2 different ways to take power. One is democracy. One is the opposite. But we won and they lost. In 2022, history gave us a 93% chance of total disaster. 93%. So we did the only thing we could. We defied history. We prevented a red wave. We not only held the Senate, we added to our majority. We could have lost the House by 40. That would have been normal. But instead, we conceded only a tiny majority of 9. This cycle, so that's what you all did. Center ourselves in that as we think about what we have to do now in the next less than 2 years. So this last cycle, I'm just going to talk about that for a little while. Field Team 6 was even more intentional than ever before about working with partners and through partners on the ground in all our battleground states, being of service to them. We know that we're only as strong as our network of friends. So we took our lead from them on messaging and targeting within their states and gave them full control of the scripts of every text bank, phone bank, and postcarding campaign. We're so grateful for our amazing friends all across the country. I want to share with you some of our biggest partner organizations this cycle. We couldn't fit all of them on the map, but here are some of our biggest partners this last cycle. Progress North in the North Woods of Wisconsin. It sounds like a place from Tolkien, but it's real, and they're amazing. Turn PA Blue in Pennsylvania. The new North Carolina project brought resources to bear that allowed us to contact our entire list of over 500,000 unregistered likely Democrats in North Carolina. That had an effect. Georgia Now and Human Rights Campaign, which helped us out also in Georgia. Bring It Home Florida, Andrew Gillum's former organization we worked with there. Mothers Against Greg Abbott. Guess what their acronym is? They're hilarious. That's on purpose, of course. Indivisible Tucson Action Alliance in Arizona. We had the youth-led Fearless Action helping us out in the California Central Valley. OTP was instrumental in allowing us to lead the most thorough campaign we have ever led, bar none, in Nevada. You'll hear more about that if you come to a fundraising workshop after this. They did amazing work. And our national partners, including the Union, including Midas Touch, and Demcast, and Call to Action, and so many more we could not fit on here. We're so grateful to them and could not have achieved what we did without them. In the 2022 cycle, 15,000 volunteers signed up for 32,000 shifts. In total, we made over 400,000 phone calls, sent over 1 million postcards, sent 3.5 million emails, and sent 5.5 million texts. We reached over 5.6 million unique individuals with 10.5 million touch points. And here's what happened. We scored a lot of different types of victories. There was the long-term states victories where our commitment paid off in Arizona and Pennsylvania, having been there for multiple cycles. There were the last-minute states where nimbleness paid off. And we got in, as you know, or you may not, donors sometimes wake up at the strangest times, like 2 weeks before the election. And many organizations are not able to really use those donations at all for that election because they come in so late. We are an exception. We are super nimble. We have no bureaucracy, and we are super targeted. So we had in place all these contingency plans for where, if money came in after the voter registration deadline had passed in all these other states, oh, look at this. There is Sharice David's district in Kansas. It's right on the bubble, and we could use it for that. We did use it for that. She won by a super narrow margin. Democrat Sharice Davids, one of the first Native Americans in Congress. In Colorado, we helped Yadira Caraveo, beautiful name. She is a Democrat who was right on the bubble. She won. In Michigan, there were 3 districts that we helped win, including Alyssa Slotkin, all at the last minute. And because these were places where we already had data and the registration deadlines had not passed, or you could register on election day. We got to put it into the pipeline immediately. That paid off. There was one fully funded state. We'd like to increase that this cycle. But this is a state where thoroughness paid off. In Nevada, we were able to expand our list because of money that was raised by a grassroots group with no huge connections. There were no venture capitalists, but they just were really good organizers, reached out to their friends who were passionate about politics, wanted to do something, and were able to raise $55,000 that allowed us to contact our entire list in Nevada in every way possible, multiple times. And that paid off in spades. There were huge victories in Nevada. I'll just highlight one. Senator Catherine Cortez Masto, the most endangered senator, won there by 9,007 votes statewide. That is razor thin. And 3 swing congressional races. We could have lost all of them. This time, we won all 3. I am going to stop sharing. And if Cory Alpert is in the house right now, I would love to talk with you about our strategy for 2024. At Field Team 6, we like to keep it simple. We like to keep it something you can remember. Our strategy for 2024 is win it all. Win it all. And what does that mean? That means we need to take back the House. We need to defend the Senate, which will be the hugest mountain to climb. And we need to defend the White House. By doing that, we save the democracy. But to do that, we're going to need to register a whole lot more Democrats. Fortunately, that's what we do. How many, Cory, have we registered so far?
So far, up to the end of 2021, it's about 1.6 million. And for those of you who are still here, in the next couple of weeks, we'll be announcing the number that we helped register in 2022. So sign up for the newsletter. If the folks can put that link in the chat, we'll be announcing that number first in the newsletter. So if you sign up, you'll be the first to hear just how many people we helped register in the 2022 cycle.
Excellent. Which brings us to, where do we need to register Democrats? Let's first talk about the current year, 2023. Here we are. These are the races, the big races that are going on in 2023. Wisconsin being the most urgent, of course. That's coming up April 4th. That's critical Supreme Court election where we can swing the court liberal and fix abortion rights, voting rights, and gerrymandering. That stays one of our target states in 24. But Cory, you want to talk about elections of interest in these states?
Yeah. So we have 5 other states that have important statewide or state legislature races. We've talked a lot today about the importance of those state executive and state legislature races. You know, in Michigan, we heard Secretary of State Benson talk a lot about the importance of having a Democratic majority. So that's what we're trying to focus on here. So in Louisiana, a state actually, Louisiana actually has a Democratic governor. He's term limited, but we're looking forward and working on electing a new Democratic governor in Louisiana. Same in Mississippi, where the Democrat Brandon Presley actually just took a 4-point lead over incumbent Republican Tate Reeves. So Jed, I think you're still here, is one of our folks helping us out in Mississippi, and thank you so much. Kentucky, protecting.
Let me just jump in there. Yeah, Jed Parker. Thank you for being on top of that. And yeah, just to repeat that, in Mississippi, you know what Mississippi is like. In Mississippi, Brandon Presley, related to Elvis Presley, running for governor as a Democrat, has a 4-point lead over vile Republican Tate Reeves, who's mired in scandal. A 4-point lead for a Democrat for governor? That's insane. So there's a chance.
Then in Kentucky, we have a Democratic governor, Andy Beshear, up for re-election. And we also have the opportunity to pick up and defeat the Republican supermajority in their state legislature. Virginia, their state House of Delegates narrowly has a Republican majority that we can flip back to a Democratic majority, giving us both the state Senate and state House of Delegates majority. And in New Jersey, we can continue to elect Democrats to help Governor Phil Murphy. So lots of state legislature races, lots of governor's races that will help us continue to enact pro-choice, pro-voter policies in these key states. In states that won't get much national attention, where your donation and your volunteer time can make a huge difference.
Absolutely. As we get into 2024, in general, Wisconsin's the first early race, and then the rest of the states pictured here have their races around November of this year. So as those pass, we'll get more into our 2-year targets here. And those are the Robin's Egg blue ones, not the creamsicle. Here are the 12 states that we are focusing on for this 2-year cycle. These are the states that we solicited volunteer input and donor input. Everybody just who's involved got to weigh in, and we weighed that with everything else we could, the how they've voted in recent elections, which ways they're trending, and what races are at stake. And we've determined these 12 states will be where control of the House, Senate, and White House are decided. Yeah, Cory, you want to talk about California and New York? Why?
Yeah. So for anyone who joined us for the Surprise States panel, states like California and New York, while statewide Democrats are still doing a lot of work here, and are continuing to win statewide elections. But there are House races, U.S. House races that are going to matter a lot. We just heard from George Whitesides and California's 27th. That's an incredibly football district. We have several districts in New York that we can take back that Republicans took in 2022, including George Santos's district that we need to win back here. So we have a lot that we can do in these two states that are going to be helpful as we work to win back the House.
For sure. New York and California alone, I think there are 7 swing districts in New York and 5 or 6 arguably in California. So New York and California alone could determine control of the House. We only have to flip 5 seats to get it back. All right. I'm going to bring up the elephant in the room. It's just sitting right beneath Ohio and Pennsylvania. That's West Virginia. You're smelling, everybody. So West Virginia, the reason it's on this map is not that we think it's suddenly going to go a sapphire blue. It's because we need to win Joe Manchin's Senate race. If he runs again for Senate, he hasn't declared yet, but it's a good chance he will. We need to reelect him. And let me explain. I hate Joe Manchin. It's okay to hate Joe Manchin. The reason we need to reelect him is so that he can be obsolete. If we are able to maintain the 51 senators that we have, the count of 51, change out Kirsten Sinema for a Democrat, and reelect Manchin in West Virginia, who likes Joe Manchin, then his vote will not matter. In other words, even if he does not vote to reform the filibuster, we will have 50 with Kamala as a tiebreaker. We can reform the filibuster and get abortion rights passed, get game-changing voting rights passed. That's the whole game. Also, everything else we need: climate rescue, racial equity, police reform, so many good things. But that's why West Virginia is on here.
And I think to add in one thing just about Joe Manchin, Manchin votes with Biden's position about 85% of the time. A Republican is going to vote with Biden's position roughly 0% of the time. So as annoying and sort of backwards as he sometimes sends us, that still allows us to move a little bit forward. He's still voting for Democratic priorities on 85% of issues. And again, the likely Republican nominee is the Governor Jim Justice. He will not be voting for any Biden judicial nominees. He will not be voting for any progressive or liberal causes in the way that Joe Manchin has been a consistent vote for Biden judicial nominees, which is a huge deal. To answer just one quick comment in the chat, Joe Manchin is the only Democrat who can win in West Virginia. There's no other question about that. There is no other Democrat who can win. It is Joe Manchin, and we have to do the work to make sure that he wins.
Yes. Montana, seems like a curveball. Why is that on the map, Cory? What do you think?
Because of our 7-fingered friend. We have a great senator in John Tester in Montana. He's the only senator. He's only active farmer in the Senate. He's a great champion of a bunch of incredible causes, especially for rural Democrats and especially for folks living in rural areas like in Montana. He's an incredible senator, huge fan. Yes, he only has 7 fingers. You can look it up. He does use this emoji a lot on Twitter. You can find that out. But he's an incredible senator. But Montana's a hard place to win. And again, he's the only Democrat who can win. But he's someone that we are much more enthusiastic about supporting, just given his background. And then the other one, Jason, you want to talk about Ohio?
Yes. Oh, thank you for mentioning that. Ohio so Montana, West Virginia, and Ohio. Those are where our 3 most vulnerable senators are. They're blue senators in red states. So Ohio, of course, has Sherrod Brown, which even as Ohio is kind of peeling off into the red zone, Sherrod Brown seems to be grandfathered in. We'll see. We're not taking anything for granted. He is well loved by Ohioans, and it'll be a battle. But we know those are our three biggest battles for the Senate. As far as pickup opportunities for the Senate, there are none. There's only Texas and Florida are the closest we've got for the Senate in a presidential year when turnout will be high and there'll be a lot of Republicans coming out to the polls. So really, it's all defense. It's all about defense this cycle in the Senate. We got to defend all 51 and switch out Sinema. Ruben Gallego is running as a Democrat. He's the only one that I've heard of so far in Arizona. Don't know if he'll wind up just clearing the field or not.
Yeah, I mean, and I think that also raises the importance of just making sure that we are able to work in as many places as we can, and we're able to work in this incredibly ambitious map of 12 states. We're a small organization that only has a handful of paid staff, but has an incredibly mighty team of volunteers. And 12 states is a lot for us to be able to work in and help win. So definitely relying on everyone here to help us get there.
For sure. It's always a difficult choice how many states to put on our target map, because we have limited human resources, and 12 is a lot. It takes a lot to generate, for example, a live training once a month on Zoom for how to hold your own voter drive in each of those 12 states. But we have that currently up on the calendar for all 12. And we chose that. We chose 12 because really it's what the situation demands. I'm very proud of that. So also, I'd like to talk about, just for a second, what I would love to tell you that I can't. Cory's mentioned this already, actually. The top line of the number of Democrats we've helped register in the last cycle. That data, we expected it to come in about a month ago, and I've been like a small kid in the back seat saying to Cory, "Are we there yet?" for a month, and it's just the data is coming in now. Finally, it's really. The main people to blame are the laggard secretaries of state in some of these states who take a long time to compile the results. Not any of the secretaries of state who appeared in our summit today. Other ones we're talking about. But that should be coming in. It is coming in right now. It'll take a little while to ingest it and for Cory to analyze it all. But we'll be able to get you some numbers sometime in the next 2 to 4 weeks of how many people we helped register to vote, how many of those voted, and broken down by state, all that lovely data.
Yeah, for any of those of you who've seen one of our impact reports in the past, there's another one coming. And I just want to say a huge thank you to Bruce Hanna, who is likely on this call, but has been here throughout the day. He's our incredible data volunteer who helps us manage that process. But we did get the data. We have a gigantic, 15 gigabyte file that arrived yesterday. So we will be managing that and working with that in the coming days. And we will be, if you sign up for the newsletter, that'll be the first place we'll be announcing those results.
Yes. So please do that. Also, can you, I'd love for you to talk for a minute about the super exciting thing we're doing for the first time. There has not been much study in voter registration, just as a science, a good, solid statistical studies. And we're going to be doing one that will add to that science significantly. Cory, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah. And just to, I think, hammer home, we've done one. We're now waiting on the analysis side of things. So we've conducted a randomized control trial in 4 states that studies 16 different dispositions. So ways that we interacted with someone or did not, that will help us make a much stronger case for why the work that we do matters, why the touches that Field Team 6 has are important and move the needle beyond the baseline, and that essentially showing us that what Field Team 6 is doing is additive, is adding to this this universe, not just, that we texted someone and they happen to get registered to vote, but showing that what we're doing and the time that you're putting in, the money that you're putting in, is making a huge difference because of the work that we're doing. We're really optimistic about that study. Really excited about getting those results back, and certainly plenty more to come. One of the exciting things that's come up today is we have more partnerships coming through with some of our data, some of the firms that are helping us with data, and we'll be continuing to expand out our capacity to do studies like that, and then to be able to answer questions from all of you about why what we're doing here matters and why it's actually helping build these democratic majorities, and to be able to answer those in much more specific terms.
I can't wait. You know that. I'm sorry to say it again. Yes, those top line numbers are just what I think about when I go to sleep every night when I wake up.
And then he texts me about it the next day.
Yeah, every day. I'm an organizer. That's my job, is to be annoying in a positive way. So what if people want to do some work in a non-target state?
Yeah. So our partnerships team, led by Kala, who is incredible and is in chat constantly, and also always in most of these panels. We have Kala leads our partnerships team that works with organizations and individuals all across the country. We have data on unregistered people in every single state and territory. We would love to activate those data and to work with you on acquiring new data if your organization can help us raise the money to do it. The list of 12 states are the states that we are spending money on, that we are spending the money that you all are donating and helping us move forward to organize in. But that doesn't mean that those are the only places that we are ever going to work. We have some incredible friends in New Mexico who helped raise money to send postcards and texts into that state, even though it wasn't one of our initial target states.
Right, which helps elect Gabe Vasquez, the representative who was just on Surprise Swing States.
Exactly. So just because the state that you're interested in is not one of our 12 does not mean that we're just going to ignore it. We probably have, 500,000 records of unregistered people in that state. Please get in touch with our partnerships team. We are absolutely interested in working with you and in working with you to make sure that we can reach out to those folks. We want to use the resources that we have, including this massive database of 11.5 million unregistered likely Democrats. So please get in touch. Please tell your friends, your fellow organizers, any other organization that's interested in doing this work, regardless of where they are in the country, about the work that we're doing and about the work you've heard about here today. And let them know to get in touch with partnerships, with our partnerships team, because they're the ones who are going to help power and support all the work that you're looking to do.
Yes, absolutely. I want to just say a few more things. There is an urgent need for volunteers and donors for Wisconsin right now. Today, we're 19 days out from this critical Supreme Court election on April 4th that will determine the majority of the court. And if we win and elect Judge Janet Protasewicz, we get to fix abortion rights, voting rights, and gerrymandering in Wisconsin. So we have opportunities starting tomorrow. It's actually started a long time ago, but we have a text bank tomorrow at 12 p.m. you can join us for. We have a phone bank. It's 12 p.m. Pacific. We have a phone bank tomorrow at 10 a.m. Pacific. We have postcard. I'm going to drop this in the chat. We have postcard parties Wednesday and Sunday. We have a text arcade on Tuesday. Text arcade being something we developed where you pay $25 to help subsidize texts, and you get 1,400 texts to send. The actual cost is over twice that, but it just helps us reach more people. Also, there's a poll we would love you to fill out about where you personally would like to work in the next cycle. If you'd like to help out in Montana, that's super valuable, or Ohio, or West Virginia, or any Pennsylvania, Georgia, Arizona, California, New York. We need people in every place that we're fighting these battles. So let us know in this poll, and we will hook you up. All right, Dale. So we have Dale Roy Robinson in the house. I think my ability to speak has completely dissolved. And I'm just going to lay down on the floor right now and go to sleep.
I think you can probably answer some of these questions in your sleep because
that I asked for. I asked for and then forgot about.
No, that's good. We have 4 minutes left. And then we're gonna talk about the next panels. But there's kind of a recurring question that's happened in the chat. I just been kind of glancing through there. What about Texas? And if you don't want to answer this question, I have answered it, but I don't know if everybody saw the answer in the chat, so I'm happy to answer it. The quick answer is no, Texas is not one of our target states in 2024, but boy, are we sitting on a mountain of data there. We have a whole bunch of data. It's data on registered folks because we're comparing everything that we've done to the voter rolls. So we know, that mountain of registered folks keeps getting bigger because we're successful at what we do. There's also a whole mountain of data of people who still need to be registered. And what are we going to do with that data? Well, not a lot unless we partner with you. So anybody who's asking about Texas, that means that you are interested in Texas. That means that we want to talk to you. Please come to our How to Partner with Field Team 6 events. We hold them every 2 weeks. You can find them always through our Mobilize link. You can find them on our website under Actions, under Partner with Us. Just come listen to our presentation, all of the ways that we can set up voter registration programs for you using data we already own. It costs you nothing. It costs you nothing for the data. It costs you nothing for the infrastructure. It costs you nothing for the programs that we're setting up for you. And then if you want to do things that do cost money that we don't have the resources for, you can help raise money for it. And then you can do those too. So the answer is we want to help in Texas and whatever state you're thinking about. And like Cory said earlier, I don't know if anybody caught this. I did, because I've heard it before. We have data everywhere. We have some data everywhere. So if you are anywhere and you want to work anywhere, don't worry about that 12 states map. Just reach out to partnerships@fieldteam6.org or go to our website, Actions, Partner with Us, read up on what we can do, reach out, tell us where you want to work, and we'll set up programs for you. We want to, really, seriously. So anyway, that's that you didn't have to answer that one, Jason.
Thank you.
All right. Riff on something while I keep reading and see if I can find any other questions here.
Okay. I love developing a new target map for the next cycle. It's something that's so profoundly fun and satisfying to me. I wish I could go to every state, but I can't wait to get voter drives, whether in person or digital, phone banks, text banks, postcards, to Montana. There are only 17 people in Montana. If we register 9, we have a majority. Really, we can do so much good in a place like that.
Yes. Ooh, I have something to riff on just for a moment. One thing that's come up in a few of the panels that I've been on today is the importance of the fact that what we're doing is not necessarily focused on a single race. That what we're doing, when you help us register a new Democrat in Montana, we may not be able to win that governor's race, but we might be able to win a state legislative race that helps us move closer to getting a Democratic majority in a state that didn't have one before. When we register a new Democrat in Louisiana, someone commented earlier, that doesn't just help us elect a new Democratic governor, that helps us defeat a Republican supermajority that means the Democratic governor could actually do something. So up and down the ballot, and it's not just governors, it's mayors, it's city council members, because every new Democrat that we're helping register, they're not just voting for one race, they're voting up and down the ballot, which is a huge, huge deal, and means that your investment and your ability to help, of time, of money, your ability to help us register a new Democrat helps folks like Gabe Vasquez win, but also helps folks like, what's his name? Tim Keller, the mayor of Albuquerque, win.
I love the fact that you know the name of the mayor of Albuquerque.
Fun fact. So for those of you who don't know, I used to be the senior advisor at the U.S. Conference of Mayors. Mayor Keller is the biggest hard rock fan and like death metal fan. When you go in his office, it's like covered in like Kiss memorabilia, and a lot of bands that I know nothing about. But registering those Democrats is really a huge thing. And one thing, Dale and Jason may not even know this because there was an agreement that happened in our data panel earlier. We're going to be working with TargetSmart to build out a list of the most competitive state legislative races to help identify the best places for us to go and hone our efforts even more.
Yeah, that is awesome. That's awesome.
And our friends at TargetSmart are developing that out. So really excited about that. So every Democrat that we register helps up and down the ballot in every possible type of race.
Great. Okay, so the time has come, guys. We got to pitch the next panels. We're getting down to it. If you thought there was like a whole day ahead of you, actually, it's starting to be behind us. Let's see. What are we down? We're down to our last two workshops. They are arguably the most important subjects of the day: organizing and fundraising. No one can get anything done without both.